Hi there, I'm Matt Stanley, co-founder of Think Digital Partners, and I'm here today for a coffee and a chat with Richard Appiah from the Home Office. Hello, Richard. How are you?
It's lovely to be here.
Great. So I suppose we should probably start off by you just telling people who you are and what your role is at the Home Office, and then we'll go from there.
I'm Richard Appiah, head of data strategy within the migration and border system within the Home Office. I work across kind of a real broad landscape, so everything from like immigration enforcement through to asylum to borders and teams responsible for kind of passports and visas. And at its core, its role is about making sure that data is being used effectively, across all of those areas. We can make better decisions, operate more efficiently and ultimately drive better outcomes for the public. So it's quite a complex landscape, but what makes it exciting is data sits at the heart of everything that we do.
Like you say, pretty complex.
It is, yes.
And so we've kind of known each other now for a few years, haven't we? And you have the honoured role of being the most visited delegate at one of our conferences. So you've been to more of our conferences than anybody else from central government or local government. So I kind of want to pick up on a little bit of that if I can. Do you remember the first time you came to one of our events and what made you come?
Yeah, first of all, I think I need a badge around that honor. So I'm going to be asking. But I do remember one of the first events. I think it was a Think Data session. And at the time, I was quite fairly new into my role. And I was just really keen to get out there, build my network and understand what good looks like across government and also industry. So I wanted to hear how others were approaching, similar challenges and just pick up some ideas that I could bring back to my organization. And one of the things for me is throughout my career within the Home Office, I've seen firsthand through things like, the Windrush, the Wendy Williams review, into Windrush, there's various independent chief inspectors of borders immigration reports, lots of external reports. There's huge value in listening, reflecting and continuously improving. And those experiences have really shaped kind of my mindset. And there's a quote that I love and I always come back to. It says, walk with the wise and you become wise. And for me, that's exactly what these events offer, the chance to learn from others and grow.
Perfect. Sounds like we're doing the right thing then.
Yes, we are.
So yeah. So, I mean, I'm interested to know. So, are there any particular sessions over the years that are kind of like stood out for you, and kind of what makes you want to keep coming back? Because you do come back to a lot of the conferences, and it's not just data; you come to all of them. So,
So I think one of the sessions that really stood out for me was at I think digital's a session, but I think it was focused very much on artificial intelligence. And obviously there's lots of excitement around the potential of AI or artificial intelligence, which is completely valid. But what really stuck with me is that the conversation kept coming back to that good quality data. And because no matter how advanced your technology is, if your data is not in a good place, you're not going to get the outcomes that you want. And it really reinforced something that we talk about a lot internally. The foundations are matter so much. So good data is enabled everything we do. So for me, it was a really nice that you get to witness the conversation around artificial intelligence, but it brings it back down to let's get the basics right first.
yeah. And I think it's kind of, it mirrors a little bit kind of part of our strategy, I suppose, really, because before we had AI as its own separate conference, obviously we had Think Data, but the agenda was just getting so taken over by all the AI topics that there wasn't actually enough breathing space for the data to be talked about. And it all comes down to the data at the end of the day. And what you get out of it is what you put into it. So we launched AI off the back of it. And the two marry so well together. So it works perfectly.
Absolutely.
So I think the other thing I'd kind of like to pick up on is you guys in government under-resourced. I don't think there's any question about that. So it's quite an important decision for you to make, to take the time out of your day to come to these day-long conferences and things like that. So what would you say to people that are kind of thinking, okay, so should I be going to these sorts of events? What would you say? How would you encourage them?
So for me, that it goes back down to there's a quote that I really like. It says, you can't read a label when you're locked in a box. And yes, you say we're busy within government, but I think for me that quote captures it quite perfectly. When you're in your day to day, it's very easy to become focused, on your immediate priorities and lose sight of the bigger picture. But for me, and I'll encourage everyone else, is sometimes stepping away, you get the opportunity to hear so many different perspectives, not just from other government departments, but from industry. And you realize that people are tackling similar challenges, but in completely different ways. And for me, it's remarkable just to kind of get together, network and listen to others. And these conversations are so valuable. And I think they help challenge your thinking. They spark new ideas and often highlight risks and opportunities that we haven't considered. So for me, this is something that I see as pivotal to my role to kind of network and understand what other key professionals are doing in this space as well. And it helps with our decision making.
Yes. Yeah. I agree, definitely. So okay, coming back round to you then, and the Home Office and the work that you're doing. What are you focusing on right now? What's the big project in hand?
So right now, across the Home Office, but more specifically within the migration and border system, we've been developing, what we call our system data plans at the moment. And these plans are really aligned to kind of the government's strategic priorities. And a big part of that is just around prioritization. We talked a bit about resources at the moment. So we're just making sure that we're investing our time and our resources in the areas that have the biggest impact. Obviously, we're always in government focus around value for money and making sure that what we're doing delivers the right outcomes. So it's very much in terms of how does data make us operate more effectively and efficiently. Ultimately, it's just how can we be more purposeful with our data to make sure it drives the right activity. So it's very much is firming up our plans and making sure we're looking at the right activity to drive the right outcomes for our government.
Right. And have you got like a specific timeline for this
Yes.
project?
So we by the end well, at the end of this month is when we are having a series of briefings with our kind of our senior executive kind of leads over the course of this month, just to kind of inform them of the plans and kind of what we expect to do. So this is the crunch month where we're kind of going through it with our senior leaders at the moment, just to get formal sign off and endorsement in
Yeah.
terms of activity. Yeah.
Okay. And when, obviously, with a big project like this, you're like, the delivery point isn't like, okay, cool, we're done, we can sit back now. Yeah, there's going to be constant monitoring, there's going to be adapting and everything else. But what do you think some of the benefits that you expect to see at the end of this are going to be?
So for me, one of the big benefits is when colleagues can see that actually making various data improvements links to the departmental outcomes. So there's something what we talk about is driving value from data.
Yeah.
And often you can't show that traceability from actually, if you improve this data here, this is how it's going to support that departmental outcome. And for me, the real benefit is actually getting people and I will say data is everyone's responsibility, whether you're a frontline operational colleague, you work in policy, strategy, transformation design, wherever you work, you have a role to play. But for everyone to be able to see that actually their contribution links to department outcomes, I think for me that's a real benefit, and that's something that if I can see that and people can recognize that, I think for me that's a real success.
Yeah, definitely. That can have a huge impact. Okay, so and then let's go bigger picture and sort of like across all government. What do you think are kind of like the biggest challenges in digital transformation the government faces right now? And then maybe on the reverse side of that, what some of the biggest opportunities might be that we should be focusing on?
So one of the biggest challenges, and I think that is definitely everyone recognizing their role in data is kind of the first thing, and getting people just to say, actually, this is so important to us achieving our outcomes. But what's quite exciting at the moment, especially within the Home Office and the migration and border system, and a great opportunity, there's lots of ongoing work around kind of digital transformation. And often they're kind of two sides of the different coins when we talk about data and digital. So for me, one of the most exciting things is actually there's a huge digital transformation going on across the organization at the moment. One of the biggest excitement opportunities that we have at the moment is actually thinking a bit about data and digital together. So when we're looking at building digital products, we're thinking about data from the offset, and that is helping shape the right technology development. So for me, it's about how do you bring those two sides of the coin together, and some great work across the organization that is doing that.
Cool. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
And I guess to kind of round it all up then, bearing in mind the kind of things you just said, what sort of future conversations would you like to see at conferences like ours, sort of like over the next 6 to 12 months?
So for me, I think you have a lot of various individuals from various government departments and also kind of industry experts. So for me, I would love to see a bit more kind of sharing of best practice, but also I think maybe a bit more honesty around kind of what's gone wrong. And I think there's so much value in learning from failure. There's a saying, failure is feedback. Feedback is knowledge, but knowledge is power. And the more we as a community can get together and say, actually, you know what, we tried this and this didn't work, and this is the reasons why it didn't work. That is growth. So for me, it's more around actually sharing experiences, sharing when things go wrong, but in a safe space where we can actually learn together and evolve and grow together. So that's kind of what I would love to see more of. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we have in the past tried to encourage sessions on about what's gone wrong. And sometimes it's quite difficult to recruit speakers for those, but I don't know. But I like the fact that you picked up on a safe space as well. We get that feedback all the time from the speakers at our conferences, and you know this being a speaker yourself. it's important for you to have a safe space where you can kind of share these discussions and kind of have these conversations. So I'm pleased that we can offer that environment. Well, it's been really nice to chat. Thank you very much for taking the time. And I think we'll probably see you on the 22nd of April, won't we, at our next AI for Government conference?
I need to keep up my reputation, so I'll be there.
Exactly. We'll try and get that sorted for you. Nice to see you, Richard. Bye now.